In the quiet suburban expanse of East Hempfield Township, Pennsylvania, an act of unimaginable violence shocked the community. On November 3, 2024, 50-year-old Carmen Martinez-Silva was brutally murdered by her 49-year-old partner, Benjamin Garcia Gual. What started as an argument over a haircut spiraled into a horrifying crime that left Carmen dead and her brother gravely injured. This is the tragic story of a life cut short by domestic abuse, the heartbreak it left behind, and the pursuit of justice. Carmen Martinez-Silva lived in a quiet, modest neighborhood on Dell Lane in East Hempfield Township, a serene suburban area known for its family-centered community. Despite the peaceful surroundings, the area was about to be rocked by the devastating violence that unfolded on November 3, 2024. Carmen's home, a small but cozy mobile home, reflected the simplicity of her life, a life built on hard work and love for her family. Carmen had always done her best to provide for those she cared for, despite the personal struggles she faced. Her humble residence, although unassuming on the outside, was filled with warmth, love, and the constant hum of family life. Carmen's character was marked by resilience and compassion. As a single mother, she worked tirelessly to support her daughter, often juggling multiple jobs to make ends meet. Those who knew her best described her as the type of person who would always put others first, even at the expense of her own well-being. Carmen had a giving nature and a heart full of kindness. She had faced many challenges over the years, but her spirit remained unbroken. Yamaris, who was incredibly close to her mother, described Carmen as a woman who exuded positivity and love, always striving to create a sense of stability for her family, no matter the obstacles. Her relationship with her brother, Luis Martinez-Silva, was another cornerstone of her life. Carmen and Luis shared a tight-knit bond that went beyond mere familial obligation. They were confidants, partners in navigating life's ups and downs. Luis often described his sister as his rock, someone he could turn to in times of need. Carmen's warmth extended not only to her immediate family but to her neighbors as well. People in the community often remarked on her caring nature, noting that she would always offer a smile and a helping hand whenever someone needed it. She was the type of person who was quick to lend an ear, whether for a friend facing hardship or a stranger in need. However, beneath this image of a loving mother and devoted family member, Carmen's relationship with her boyfriend Benjamin Garcia Gual was fraught with tension. Benjamin, a 49-year-old laborer with a troubled history, was prone to controlling and volatile behavior. While their relationship initially appeared normal, over time, his insecurities and jealousy began to take a darker turn. Benjamin's sense of entitlement and possessiveness grew, and his behavior became increasingly erratic. He began isolating Carmen from her family, scrutinizing her every move, and questioning her decisions. His anger was triggered by the smallest of things: comments from friends, the time Carmen spent with her daughter, or the attention she received from others. His jealousy escalated to verbal threats, and eventually, physical intimidation. Despite this growing sense of unease, Carmen, like many victims of domestic abuse, hoped things would improve. She rationalized Benjamin's behavior, convinced that if she just worked harder to meet his expectations, the relationship would stabilize. But as his demands became more unreasonable and his behavior more unpredictable, the situation grew untenable. On November 2, 2024, Carmen visited her daughter Yamaris for a casual evening. During her visit, she decided to cut her hair, a fresh start perhaps, after months of emotional strain. When Benjamin saw the new haircut, he became enraged, accusing Carmen of disrespecting him. His anger escalated into threats of violence, with Benjamin reportedly saying, "I'm going to stab you because of this." Fearing for her safety, Carmen stayed overnight at Yamaris' home. According to Yamaris, Carmen was visibly shaken, confiding that she felt unsafe returning to Benjamin. By the next morning, Carmen decided to leave the relationship for good. She went to her brother Luis's home to seek refuge and discussed how to retrieve her belongings from Benjamin's house. Around 1:30 p.m. on November 3, 2024, Benjamin Garcia Gual arrived at Luis Martinez-Silva's home on Dell Lane in East Hempfield Township. Luis, aware of Benjamin's increasingly violent tendencies, immediately realized the danger his sister Carmen was in. Wanting to protect her, Luis did his best to shield Carmen by telling Benjamin that she wasn't at the house. He knew that confronting Benjamin directly could provoke an even more dangerous reaction, but Luis also knew that Carmen had been staying at his home as a precaution after Benjamin had threatened her the night before. However, Benjamin's suspicions were aroused by Luis's response, and he refused to leave. Benjamin was well known for his possessiveness and escalating temper, and this encounter was no different. After a brief absence, Benjamin returned to Luis's home, this time armed with a kitchen knife, ready to confront both Luis and Carmen. Neighbors later described Benjamin's behavior as almost frantic. His anger had overtaken any sense of reason, and it was clear that he had no intention of leaving without causing harm. The confrontation quickly turned violent when Benjamin attacked Luis at the front door. The attack was brutal and swift. As soon as Luis answered the door, Benjamin lunged at him, stabbing him multiple times in the head, chest, and arms. The violence was so severe that Luis, who managed to stagger back inside, suffered critical injuries. Neighbors reported hearing his agonized screams as Benjamin continued his assault, relentlessly attacking him with the knife. Luis later recounted that he was just trying to protect Carmen, but Benjamin's fury was too much. The injuries he sustained were life-threatening, but fortunately, Luis was able to survive the attack and was rushed to the hospital. The real horror unfolded when Carmen, hearing her brother's cries for help, rushed to intervene. Carmen immediately tried to pull Benjamin away from her brother to stop the attack. In a panic-fueled frenzy, Benjamin turned on Carmen, his rage now fully directed at her. With little regard for her safety, he stabbed Carmen repeatedly, in what one witness described as a backward motion, with the knife. The violence was unrelenting. Benjamin's anger was so intense that he focused entirely on hurting Carmen. Carmen fell to the ground in the yard, where she eventually succumbed to her injuries. Despite her efforts to shield her brother and save him from further harm, Carmen could not survive the savage attack. Her death was a tragic and senseless outcome of Benjamin's escalating violence. The aftermath of the attack was chaotic. Police arrived on the scene after receiving multiple 911 calls reporting a stabbing. They found Carmen lifeless in the yard and Luis gravely wounded, holding a bloodied kitchen knife. He was arrested without resistance and taken to the hospital for treatment of minor injuries.
We are learning more about a woman stabbed to death in Lancaster County this week. Her name was Carmen Martinez-Silva. She was found stabbed to death, allegedly after she went for a haircut. Andrew Klein with me now. Andrew, what happened here?
Well, Jasmine, according to court documents, they say that Benjamin Garcia Gual has been charged with multiple things in this case, including homicide, attempted homicide, multiple counts of aggravated assault, and recklessly endangering a person following that stabbing. And according to those documents, Carmen told her daughter over a phone call that Benjamin was upset because she cut her hair, like you mentioned. So I was over there a little while ago, and it's a trailer park, so the streets are very narrow, kind of hard to get around. Now, according to these documents, Benjamin Garcia Gual, he showed up at the house on Dell Lane, and he was looking for Carmen. He got to the door, he was told that she wasn't home, so he left. A few minutes later, he came back. Police say that's when he stabbed the homeowner. A witness said that Carmen tried to protect the homeowner, the man who answered the door, and that's when she was stabbed and killed. Garcia Gual was arrested, and he's currently being held at the Lancaster County Prison, where he was denied bail. Jasmine, back to you.
Investigators quickly pieced together the sequence of events through witness testimonies and forensic evidence. The knife recovered from Benjamin's car matched the wounds inflicted on Carmen and Luis. Witnesses, including Yamaris and Luis, recounted Benjamin's threats and violent tendencies, painting a chilling picture of premeditated rage. Court documents revealed that Carmen had expressed her intention to leave Benjamin earlier that day. She had even asked a family friend, Hector Burgos, to inform Benjamin of her decision. Burgos was unable to find Benjamin at his residence, but his account corroborated Carmen's plans to end the relationship. Benjamin's behavior leading up to the murder raised red flags. Described as controlling and prone to jealousy, he had a history of emotionally abusive behavior toward Carmen. Friends and family noted that his demeanor often shifted between charming and menacing. Following his arrest, Benjamin was charged with multiple offenses, including first-degree murder, attempted murder, and aggravated assault. His cold, emotionless demeanor during the initial interrogation further highlighted his lack of remorse. Carmen's death sent shockwaves through East Hempfield Township. Friends, neighbors, and family members gathered to honor her memory, sharing stories of her kindness and selflessness. A candlelight vigil was held on Dell Lane, where the community came together to support Carmen's grieving family and call for justice. Luis, who survived the attack, faced a long road to recovery. Despite his physical and emotional scars, he remained determined to seek justice for his sister. In interviews, he spoke about the importance of recognizing the warning signs of abuse and urged others to intervene before it's too late. Benjamin's trial is set to be one of the most closely watched cases in Lancaster County. Prosecutors plan to present overwhelming evidence, including eyewitness accounts, forensic findings, and Benjamin's own recorded threats. The defense, while yet to outline its strategy, faces an uphill battle against the weight of evidence. Carmen's daughter, Yamaris, has vowed to attend every court hearing, seeking closure and ensuring her mother's story is heard. "My mom didn't deserve this," she said in an emotional statement. "No one should have to live in fear of the person they love." She also started a GoFundMe on her Facebook to raise funds to properly lay her mother to rest. Carmen Martinez-Silva's murder serves as a stark reminder of the dangers of domestic violence. Her death has sparked conversations about the need for community support and early intervention in abusive relationships. Advocates hope her story will inspire others to recognize the signs of abuse and take action to protect those at risk. As East Hempfield Township grapples with the aftermath of this tragedy, Carmen's legacy lives on through her family's advocacy. Her story is a call to action, a plea to break the cycle of abuse and prevent such senseless violence from claiming another life.